The Archdeacon's eyes narrowed, glowing faintly. He turned toward the horizon, toward the incoming swarm of xenomorphs stretching beyond the edge of visible land. Black spines pierced the skyline like a living tidal wave, their movements unified, primal and relentless. "It's time," the Archdeacon said, his voice a low rumble. "He's here." Ahab and the Predator King activated their bioscanners in unison. Instantly, heat signatures lit up their HUDs, hundreds of thousands of xenomorphs marching in waves, some larger and more grotesque than any they had ever faced. Xenomorph kings, armored drones, aerial variants, burrowers. The king clenched his fist. "We do not have the numbers." Ahab added grimly, "Even with humanity wielding plasma rifles, we won't last the night without the hybrids." Suddenly, alarms blared from nearby predator beacons. Multiple heat sources moving fast and erratically from beneath the earth. "They've started tunneling under the Panama-Columbia barricade," an elite predator warned. "They're trying to flank." The king glanced at Ahab. "Get your fastest scouts, find the hybrids, we need them, now." Ahab nodded. "We'll make contact, even if I have to go alone." Just then, a human lieutenant ran up, eyes wide. "Sir, satellite recon just spotted an entire nest of human xenomorph hybrids near what used to be Houston. They've fortified it. They're not hiding." The Predator King's gaze darkened. "Then maybe they've chosen a side." The Archdeacon smiled faintly, cryptically. "The hybrids are connected to me, whether they know it or not." As the sun began to set behind the looming storm clouds, casting a blood-red glow over the battlefield, Ahab spoke one final sentence. "Then we'll see tonight who they bleed for." The Archdeacon turned his gaze toward the horizon, toward the deacon. "I'll buy you time," he said with eerie calm. "He's not coming for your world, he's coming for me. He's always been." With that, the Archdeacon leapt high into the air, 100 feet, his body shimmering and distorting as he rapidly increased his density mid-flight. The moment he slammed into the earth, a deafening shockwave erupted, shattering the sound barrier and leaving a crater the size of a football field. Xenomorphs nearest the blast were obliterated. Bones, armor, and flesh vaporized in the seismic impact. But the swarm was vast, the wave was endless. Thousands more closed in, forming a dark tide around the lone figure now standing in the crater's heart. Suddenly, a blur of motion. The Predator King sprinted through the chaos, hurling plasma mines and twin spears with godlike precision, carving a bloodied path toward the Archdeacon. He landed beside him with a brutal grace, his blades humming with energy, both nodding at each other as they knew what needed to be done. Side by side, two apex beings, the Archdeacon and the Predator King, faced down the approaching wave. Back at the command post, Ahab stood silently, taking in the vision of sacrifice and fury unfolding beyond the hills. His fists tightened, the king's final words echoed in his ears. "This is your universe to protect, old friend. Get the Yautja armies ready for the end." Ahab turned to the gathered elders and elite warriors. "Sound the war horns. Wake every sleeper ship in orbit. Gather every hunter in hiding. We fight not to survive, but for the kill." As the Yautja banners were raised and plasma cannons charged, Ahab looked toward the horizon, toward a war that would decide the fate of not just Earth, but all timelines. The battlefield shook beneath the feet of the Archdeacon as he crushed wave after wave of xenomorphs, his sheer mass and strength tearing through the swarm like a god of war. Acid blood sprayed across his arms and torso, but it hissed and sizzled harmlessly off his dense, adaptive flesh. The Archdeacon didn't slow, he couldn't slow. Every second bought was a chance for the Yautja and humanity to prepare. Beside him, the Predator King was a blur of brutal elegance, his dual plasma cannons reducing creatures to molten ash, his spears splitting skulls mid-flight. Together they were an unstoppable wall of carnage. Until the earth screamed. A low rumble echoed, deep and unnatural. Suddenly the ground beneath the Archdeacon buckled, cracked, and then collapsed. A gaping chasm swallowed him whole. Dust and blood filled the air as the shockwave knocked even the Predator King back several feet. From the darkness below, something stirred. Then it emerged, a monstrous form unlike any seen before. The Burrower, a new Xenomorph variant, vast, armored like a subterranean tank, covered in dense obsidian plating with jagged ridges adapted for tunneling through bedrock. Its claws were more like scythes, its tail, barbed and segmented, thrashed with seismic force. It hissed triumphantly, black ichor dripping from its fangs. The Predator King's expression hardened. He was alone now. The battlefield around him raged with the fury of countless xenomorphs, and now a subterranean beast of unspeakable power had taken his strongest ally. For the first time in 1,000 years, the king felt the weight of uncertainty, but he stood tall. The Predator pulled out 2 circular disc blades, and they started spinning like a chainsaw and ran into the Burrower. The blades did start to cut through, but not fast enough. The battlefield had become a blood-soaked inferno. The Predator King stood tall, bracing himself for what could be his final stand. His armor shimmered with black blood, and his plasma cannons smoked from continuous fire. But he did not flinch. He welcomed the storm. Then, a thunderous roar echoed across the wasteland, from the hills shimmering into view. The Elders, cloaked in regal armor, wielding weapons from millennia of conquest, they descended upon the swarm like wrath incarnate. Behind them came the elites, thousands of them, battle-hardened, roaring with fury and honor. The sky turned red with plasma fire. The air was filled with the screeches of xenomorphs and the snarls of Yautja warriors as the 2 forces clashed in brutal, apocalyptic combat. It was a massacre on both sides, limbs flying, acid-melting armor, plasma bolts ripping bodies apart. The Predator King fought like a god among titans, spearing through a xeno-dragon's skull mid-air, landing with such force it cracked the ground beneath him. But it wasn't enough. The Burrowers had emerged fully now, dozens of them. They moved like shadows beneath the battlefield, erupting from the earth to swallow squads of humans and predators whole. Their armor was impervious to most weapons. Even the sniper teams, positioned behind the front lines, were being wiped out by surprise attacks. Thousands of human soldiers were gone in minutes, crushed, impaled, or dragged into the depths. Then came the Xeno-dragons, winged monstrosities and serrated tails that could slice through tanks. They swooped down in packs, unleashing terror from the skies, tearing through both man and Yautja with surgical brutality. Hope was slipping. The battlefield, once a symbol of unity between 3 species, was descending into chaos and despair. Plasma fire rained down, bodies burned, and the night was lit only by the glow of weapons and blood. Still, the Predator King did not fall. He rallied the Elders, roared to the heavens, and fought harder, but he knew what was coming. He turned toward the crater left behind by the Burrower, where the Archdeacon fell, wondering what fate awaited him. The air in the cavern grew dense, as if the very shadows leaned in to hear the deacon's words. The Archdeacon stood silent, tension rippling through his towering frame. For the first time he hesitated. The deacon stepped forward, his eyes glowing dimly, unnaturally calm. The Archdeacon, with great determination, spoke and said, "You won't prevail. You still think this is about domination, about infection, but this war is a distraction. You never asked why the black goo was made, and if it belongs in this timeline. You never questioned why we exist. Why the humans were put here on this planet, brother. I was created out of chance infecting an engineer, but I chose to protect, to contain. You were made to corrupt. You are a failed experiment. Me and you are not the same." The deacon's smile widened slightly, not in mockery, but in revelation. "No, I was made to awaken, and you were made to delay. We are 2 halves of one equation. But the one who wrote it all was her." The Archdeacon's eyes narrowed. "Who is she?" The deacon replied, "The Mother." Share, like, comment, and subscribe for the final video in the Alien Predator series.